We're live. That's it. Thank you. We are in order. Welcome to the beginning of the Board of Ed and the school system year of meetings. We will run until June. And this is the first chance that Michael Wilson is a new superintendent. This is the board meeting. Welcome, and without much more to do, we will have the roll. The roll will show that Kathy, Ellen, and John from the board committee are here. Ronnie is a teacher rep to this committee. And Marissa, you'll get the rest of the attendance. Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So second.
Favor?
Aye.
And the minutes. Motion to approve, please.
So second.
Any discussion on mistakes and spellings?
I saw Joanne Freeman's name and spelled with just one B.
Oh.
So, I think there's two, right?
Mhm.
Minutes.
Thank you.
So,
Well, approve the change.
second.
Okay. Then I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
We have approved our minutes. Public participation. Anyone here from the public? Anyone out there? Josh, who's out there in Cyberland? Just Fiona and
I don't see anyone on the line right now.
Fiona's not here yet? Okay.
No, that's our line. That's just our line.
The other one is Josh, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
that's the other one is Josh. Okay, well, then we have no public participation. So I don't have to read the spiel. And we start on our discussion items. And so would you please remind us of the DCF thing? It's been going on for a couple of meetings and
Right.
we'll hear the
Great. So yes, thank you. And thank you to Carla and Kevin, right, for joining us tonight. I was not included in the original conversation that Carla and Kevin had with Sue Lebowski, right, a few months ago.
Yes.
But the board was introduced to the idea that you were interested in establishing a partnership of sorts with the district. And then we ended up tabling the conversation and asking that it come to school improvement and just be introduced here. So if you wouldn't mind just giving us and giving the committee sort of your summary or your introduction to what sort of thing you're proposing.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So thank you for having us. This was really nice that we got invited. We've been going around in the community because I am Carla Perella, the new office director in Torrington, and I've been there for maybe 15 months now. So I did make a connection with the previous superintendent. And just to introduce myself and my new team. And this is coming off of COVID. So we thought it was important just to kind of make a connection, put names with faces. If anybody needed to reach out to us, that, you guys had a connection to the department because you are our highest reporters in the community. So in the entire Northwest corner, the Torrington public school system is our highest reporter. And so what has happened throughout the state is what we've been doing is putting what we've been calling outposted positions into the school systems, into the police departments, into the Head Starts. And really anywhere we see fit to place a social worker in the community, and really the opportunity to partner with us, and we partner with you, answer questions that your team has, talk about mandated reporter stuff, talk about biases, about making reports. Sometimes reports don't have to be reports. Sometimes families just need support. And so sometimes you guys might not know what those supports are, but we do. And so we have the opportunity sometimes to give you guys possible ideas or considerations. We would never tell you not to make a report. But if you're kind of wondering, does this kind of teeter on abuse or neglect? Or if you have a family that might be homeless, sometimes homelessness isn't necessarily abuse or neglect. Sometimes people just fall on hard times. And so what we really wanted to do is we are outposted here at the Torrington Police Department. We're also outposted at Head Start. We are going to start at the Watertown Public School System in September with 2 social workers actually out there. And then we also have somebody at the Watertown Police Department and the Winstead Police Department. And so a couple of months back, we met with Sue and kind of proposed to her what we were thinking about and just really enhancing our partnership. Knowing that you guys are our largest reporters, we thought that it would be good if there's a particular school that maybe your school social workers think would be helpful for us to kind of place ourselves in, or if like you're just working with a family or a child and you haven't heard from the social worker, or you don't know if there's a social worker, or you're thinking about wanting to connect with somebody. It's that outlet to do that. And so we really wanted to see if you were interested in the partnership. We tailor it to whatever meets both of our needs. I can tell you that we're starting in the Watertown school system twice a month. And so, if it's a particular day, sometimes we're going to be going to an all staff meeting, or sometimes we'll be going to the middle school. Sometimes we'll be going to the high school. We've already met several times with the superintendent. We're meeting with the school social workers. We provide mandated reporter training in person, which we really think is definitely more helpful than watching the 30-minute kind of click buttons, because your teachers have a lot of questions, right? And they run into a lot of situations, and you are the ones that these kids are visible to you in the community. We only get a portion of the kids that come through, our door, but you guys see them all. And so we really thought that, this would just enhance the partnership. You guys really don't have a particular person you can call. And I think that that's important, right? If you have somebody that you can reach out to, like a liaison, we thought that that would be important. So you have a contact, you have a person, you have somebody physically who can come here. If someone's knocking on your door saying, I need help, doesn't mean that you have to call DCF because they're struggling. We might be able to say, hey, we know about this service in the community, or we know about this, or maybe you guys can reach out to here, or, maybe we're here when they're here and we can kind of connect them to services. So that's, I know I'm saying a lot, but that's really what we want to do is enhance the partnership, really develop our relationship, and just really do what's best for children and families. And Kev, I'll let you.
Yeah, I would just add, so I'm a program supervisor in the office. There's 2 of us. I oversee the investigations team. That would be the outplacement would come from the investigation staff. I think your school social workers are probably pretty familiar with most of or all of the investigators in our office. But I do think that there's a lot of value in having a liaison, a connection to the office. While they may know all of the investigators, they're not going to know who to call them with any particular questions. They may pick a name out of a hat or something like that. But having a particular person identified for the school system who can answer questions can be your go-to. I think has value. I think the staff are excited about it as well. I mean, the folks have volunteered for it. So we put it out to our staff to see if anyone's interested, and we do have staff volunteering to participate in it. They see a lot of value in it. They do feel like they can learn from the school, and the school can learn from us. And in the end, we think that the children in the town and the city are better served if our systems are communicating well, coordinate to help families.
The way anything would work between you and the school system would be that the superintendent would look into it and see what he thought would be appropriate, and then, if necessary, make recommendations to the board. But this does give us the chance, now that everyone's here, to ask questions. Anyone have questions about DCF and what they might want to do with us?
I think it's a great.
I have a question, John, when it's my turn.
Okay, Fiona.
Just 2 things. One, I wanted to know if there's a budgetary implication to this. And 2, what would happen in a scenario if our staff member went to you guys and you guys decided that it wasn't a reportable incident, and then something were to happen? Would that fall back to the school or to DCF, or how would that work?
So at the end of the day, we're never going to tell you not to make a report. we're just gonna guide you. If you still feel strongly that a report needs to be made, you guys make a report. You're mandated if you feel obligated to make it. That's not what we're trying to do, is prevent reports from coming in. But what we're saying is there's some reports that don't necessarily rise to the level of abuse or neglect. And maybe just asking a few additional questions or referring a family to a community resource. But at the end of the day, if you feel like you feel strong enough to make that report, you make it. We would never tell you not to. And I don't believe there's any budgetary constraints here. All we really need is a possible spot to place our worker in. They have their own computers, they have hotspots, they have their iPhones, they have all the equipment they need to connect. Sometimes when there's a lull and they're stationed here, maybe for the day, they'll be working on their other cases as well. But your team could know that DCF is here on this day and that they're available. And if there's any questions or, anything that somebody wants to bounce off of someone, they can be here. It doesn't have to be a whole day. It could be a half day. But we just really need a place to sit.
Yeah.
So I don't think budget wise, there's no money being exchanged.
There's no cost. to
There's
the
no
district.
cost to the district. We usually go into what's called an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, just with the agreement that we have this relationship and partnership. And we outline, that a worker will be assigned. We would be looking at 2 workers, but we can start at 1 if that was something you were interested in. If you have a particular school that you think, would be best suited for somebody to, go there, we can do that as well. But we make it to whatever works best for, both of us.
Ellen, were you done with your point? Okay.
I think the more resources we can have, the better. And I also think it's wonderful to have the school working in conjunction with DCF instead of it being more of a separate relationship. I think the more people that are on the same page, the better it is for our students.
We really want to change the face of DCF, and I think we're doing that. I just think it's taking a while. But when we got into the police department, the chief had a hard time wrapping his head around what this would look like and what this is. But now he loves it, and he loves seeing us there, and he knows he can pick up the phone and call me. He can call Kevin. If there's a removal going on, or if there's something going on in the community and he's like, kids are going to be there, I might need you guys around. It's been a really nice partnership. And so that's what we hope to do here in the school system as well.
And Carl, if I could add,
Yeah.
I imagine that you've all have heard of the times that we've been at the schools and your staff are stuck there till 6 or 7 o'clock at night with the kids,
Correct.
trying to navigate the system. And I can't say that would never happen again, but I do think with those connections, those things move a little quicker. We're gonna investigate the allegations and try to be as thorough as we can. But I also think sometimes you can get started a little earlier in the day. Those relationships help, the connections, you know who to call, who you can connect with. If you need to get to myself or the supervisor, you have probably just a little easier access, not because we're not available to everybody, but you kind of know how to do it. Our staff are there to helpfully help guide that process for you guys.
And your budget is secure enough so the person wouldn't be there for a while and then disappear for budgetary reasons?
Well, there's no implications to our budget. They're doing the same job that they do now, except they're just stationed in a different location. I can't promise you that it will be the same worker because there's promotions, people move, there's turnover. What I can tell you is that we were in a really bad place with staffing last August. We had about 17 staff. So we were just treading water. And so now we're currently at 39 staff. And so a good portion of our staff are new, but what I can tell you is the outposted positions we have tailored to the more experienced workers, and they're the workers that get the investigations. And so we thought that was a good place because that's where our strongest workers are right now. And so we're trying to build our team, but it's going to take us some time because we've hired so many new staff.
Sure.
But I don't think it's going to be an issue with making sure that we always have somebody available for the Torrington public school system. I can't promise you it will always be the same worker.
Ronnie, questions?
think it sounds like a complete win. So I'm wondering what I'm missing, but I don't think I'm missing anything.
So Ronnie's a teacher at the middle school, so her perspective is really valuable because she would be directly impacted by this.
Yes.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds wonderful. I would think talking with the social workers first, and the people that usually call you, getting a hold of them, and in the entire district, like all our social workers would probably have some great ideas of the best places to go and the best way to use you. I don't want to say just come to the middle school all the time.
Yeah.
So they would probably know that. So I would say consult
Yeah.
them, but it sounds great.
Yeah,
to
I
me.
mean, I say, I do this piece and then I let them make the connections, the workers with the social workers or the principals or wherever you think the right connections are. You don't necessarily have to use that one social worker for just one school either. So if you wanted to use that person for a couple of schools, it's okay to do that too. But just being mindful of their schedule too. So they might not be able to physically always be present at 3 different schools. But I think we can get creative in how we, make it work. Like I said, I'd like to propose 2 social workers, but that's completely up to.
Is that because just by virtue of the size of our district?
It's the size of the district, you're our highest reporters, and I have 2 at Watertown, and that's a smaller district.
Okay.
And so I think it would make sense to at least have 2. And I have the luxury right now to provide you 2. So I have 19 investigation workers.
Okay.
Right now I have 4 outposted. So I have opportunity. And so I'd like to present it while I have it.
Sure.
Can I just ask a couple questions? So I'm the assistant superintendent of student service. So I oversee all the social workers and I work directly with Michelle Anderson and also the McKinney Bento. So you would probably coordinate, like I kind of facilitate that whole process. So I think that it would be a wonderful thing. What I've seen over the past few years that I've been in Torrington is that we have some families that really struggle and there's almost like a cycle. And so sometimes families end up being re-referred and it can become very contentious. And I think it would be great to try to make it look like, no, that we're here to help too. And, it's not, oh, you reported us to the bad guys. So I think that would be great. And I think it would just be a matter of training, like all the social workers and what's the process going to be, and we could probably use you everywhere. So, yeah, we could figure it all out, like the best way to break up.
When we've been tapped a little bit through the other public school systems to ask us to do some mandated reporter training before school actually starts. And so I think that that's been helpful too, because so many questions come out of that training when it's in person, and our workers are experienced enough to answer those questions for your staff. And I think it calms down your teams a little bit, because it does give people a lot of anxiety to have that responsibility of being a mandated reporter. And what does that mean? And, what if I don't call, or what if I do call? And what if the family knows that I'm the one who called? And we kind of talk about transparency. Like, it's okay if the family knows you call, because there's a concern. And so let's figure out what the concern is and how we can help the family. The DCF, it's no longer that we're like these baby snatchers. We really try to keep families together. When we're removing a child, it's because that child's at imminent risk. And I have to tell you, the numbers of the number we were at, we had 134 kids in care in the Northwest corner. We currently have 80. That's a significant decrease in the past year and a half. So we've done a lot of work to try to preserve families and keep them home with services in place. A lot of those cases that kind of funnel through to investigations sometimes don't necessarily get transferred to what we call ongoing services, where we kind of monitor, because now we have other programs like our community partner agency that we refer out to, or what we call IFCS, which is like integrated family services, so that they don't have to continue to pass through the front door. But the family also want the help. So sometimes it's a fine line for us. Yeah.
I'd add to that, sometimes we make the report, you don't hear anything, right? You don't know what happened, right? Another example of where staff can help explain what happened on that, right? So they could say, well, it wasn't accepted, let me take a look for you. It wasn't accepted. This is why.
Yeah, we run into that.
I'm sure you're wondering, oh, I called that in, it wasn't accepted, but I
Yes.
called that in and it was. What's the difference, right? So there's some opportunity to, explain the process a little bit.
Mhm.
Okay, so where we are is that Mr. Wilson will talk with you.
Sure.
Whatever you can decide and then come to us with a recommendation.
Absolutely. I will leave my card. And I just bulleted a couple of things if you want to take a look at it, if you want it. And I'll leave my card here if anybody else would, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
You're
both of you, for on such short notice too. That worked out.
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
it works,
yeah.
The
right?
universe smiling down.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you. Enjoy your night.
yeah, you too. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, next item on the agenda, the selection process for Teacher of the Year and Para of the Year. And we got that distributed ahead of the meeting. And I think we can plan running, but maybe Sue could explain the process better than anyone else.
Sure. I'll just summarize what's in the packet. So essentially, the way it works is candidates are nominated at every building. And then there is a selection process that occurs at the building level, and a building level from that candidate pool at each site. Someone is selected to be the building level Teacher of the Year. Those 6 nominees are then forwarded to the district office, and the process that you see in your packet ensues. A committee is formed. There is a writing sample collected. There are interviews. It's a blind scoring process for the written component. So it's anonymous. There are no names associated with any of the applications or the submissions. The interview committee is comprised of former Teachers of the Year, both district level and building level. And then there's a rubric. The successful candidate at the district level, as you all know, gives a little bit of a congratulatory speech at the convocation. Same really with the para, right? It's essentially the same process for the para.
Which is maybe the time to make a promotion statement about attending the convocation, because it's really a nice affair, a good way to start the school year. Highlighted by this focus on Teacher and the Para of the Year.
It's a celebration.
Get everybody the right time and send out time speech. Questions or comments? Fiona, you had some interest in this.
No,
Okay.
I just wanted to just hear what the process was to make sure that the individual schools had selected their people. That seemed to be what some of the concern was. But you're saying that the schools nominated someone from their own building, right?
Yes, that's the way it's been done for as long as I can remember, and that's the way it continues to be. Correct? Yes.
Actually, it doesn't have to be someone from that school that nominates. I could nominate somebody at the high school, or I could not.
You could, but every school does
Every
has
school
its own.
has its own, but
Yeah.
yes, the process has improved with the work that we've done, so that it's not just you can nominate within your building. I think the concern maybe came from, and I think teachers had some of that same concern when we clarified with you, when the form goes out, everything goes back to Andrew. And I think people thought there weren't individual buildings because it all goes back to Andrew. But Andrew then disseminates
Correct.
it to the
Yes.
individual.
Correct. And that was purely from a logistical
Right.
perspective, because it was done with a Google form and we just, yeah. It was
Right, and because you can do it across districts
Mhm.
now, where you, across buildings,
across
where previously you could only nominate within your own.
with your,
building.
correct.
So
correct.
that's the
Can you hear all of that, Fiona?
Yes, yep, I can hear you guys perfectly.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Questions or discussion? Okay, we will move on then. Thank you. Thank you for preparing that. And it's in front of us in writing if we need to refer back to it, especially if the process. Again,
Great.
so after the convocation, and then hear a couple of always very good little speeches from these people. Current social promotion considerations, social pro, let's go. We were supposed to hear at this meeting, why it's on this agenda, I think the middle school was supposed to have a report prepared to tell us about the kids who were placed at the high school and the correlation between that and performance on the proficiency tests. I thought that was why we moved it to this agenda.
Okay, I don't recall that, but that doesn't mean that's not the way it is. And because of vacation schedules and so forth, the middle school is off the hook for this meeting. So in terms of social promotion, and I'm gonna credit our new superintendent for educating me and others that perhaps the best way, and please feel free to jump in, Mr. Wilson, perhaps the best way to really rein this in and get a handle on it is to adopt a policy that outlines what the expectations are around student performance, essentially, and expectations for students in terms of attendance and completing assignments and successfully meeting with success criteria throughout the course. The district would continue, as we have for as long as I can remember, to provide opportunities for students to meet with success, extended day, summer opportunities, some of the academies that we have developed of late. But let it be known to students and families and teachers right up front that these are the ground rules, and that students who do not live up to these expectations, if they're struggling in school and they are failing a subject, for example, and they do not attend any of these opportunities, or even if they do and they continue to struggle, they will no longer be accelerated to the next grade level. So if we could handle it in policy, then it's documented, it's in writing, everybody knows where we are.
And if I could just add.
Please.
Thank you. That was well thought out and exactly what we discussed. It's actually, to put it into policy, it actually just reinforces and supports the board as well and protects the board in some ways, but it also sets expectations from the board to the actual educational team that these are our standards for completion, and these are our standards for matriculation. So when you have that policy set in place, therefore, we can then hold everyone accountable under those things, still providing all of the supports as Sue mentioned, and those are critical and key. We want everyone to succeed. However, providing those opportunities and making those into policy as well and putting those in policy just sets a different standard. And then it therefore allows any student who is going to matriculate has successfully completed that coursework necessary in order to matriculate, as opposed to asking questions, did they or didn't they?
And because that problem doesn't come up until the end of the year, we have a few months in the policy committee.
I don't want to put it on the policy, but I just think that's an appropriate way.
It is a really good way to handle definitive process.
I think it is important, though, to move quickly on it so that we can make it, everybody knows.
So nobody can say, oh, we didn't know. We thought we could not perform well and still get promoted. Exactly.
Could go right in to the student.
Well, that's what I was gonna say,
And then it's
right?
every student has to at least sign up or agree in the Google form, but if family has read it and acknowledged it, It's in the handbook. Board policies, and while they're all very important, most parents probably haven't seen.
Because there's things in the classroom that we do as well to help the students, because you want everybody to pass, and you've done all these things and they've still done nothing. This stuff has already been done to help your child, like, and we told you they were failing. And I think we make that clear. And actually, I think Shelley's really working on streamlining it, so we all sort of have the same things, and it's clearly communicated. These things are in place to help already if they haven't done them. And I think that, in addition to policy, like I think us all being together on that will help clarify.
And I'm going to say that again in a different way. No teacher wants a kid to fail, and no kid who shouldn't fail will fail.
Mhm.
But some kids maybe should be retained just so they're a better student in the ensuing part of their career. Anyone else? Once, going twice. Okay, tag update. Your school year is starting. What's going on, Laura?
So I don't know,
To
you
start?
want to start and then I'll jump in?
Sure. So just to backpedal a little bit, because we didn't have a firm budget number until very late in the spring, till sometime mid-June, we were not able to move forward with this. However, we are in a good place now. So essentially what that means is we were not able to post for the tag teacher when we would have liked to. However, we posted for the tag position. We are in the process of hiring or recruiting someone for that position. We were not able to administer the COGAT you've heard Laura speak about to the students in the spring, because by the time we had a budget number, it was the last week of school. And the COGAT, to assess the number of kids that we've spoken about, came with a very, very large price tag. So we've ordered the test, we have the test, we're ready to roll. The plan that we've spoken about, Laura and I have spoken about is, and Michael, is that when the children return in September, we will administer the assessment. We will already have our tag teacher on board. That person will be working, developing program resources, that sort of thing. And we expect that we should be able to start delivering services by the end of September, early October, be up and running with the program.
Yes, as the assessment is online, we can get the scores for the assessment very quickly. The negative of doing it at the beginning of the year as opposed to the end of the year is, remember, the COGAT is just one criteria. So the end of the year, the teachers really know the students, so they're able to assess better the remaining criteria. So we're a little bit behind the 8 ball because we weren't able to do that. We did do that with the younger kids because we had planned on continuing to test, considering that we didn't know if we would still have like the pilot program or whatever. So we have some of the testing done. So we have, the names of the children that were already tested, and the additional criteria already went through for them. But our middle school students, we don't. So it'll be a matter of going through it, looking to see with the additional criteria, maybe reaching out to the previous year's teachers. And, it's not like unfortunately, it's not like there are hundreds of kids. It's a small number that hit that initial cut score from the COGAT. So we'll take that, we'll run with that. Already started thinking about the needs of what will this teacher need to do. The special ed supervisors are talking to Michael Klein and Mary Ann Buchanan and Shelley about how it will fit in the schedule, because it's a little tricky, because if you have a student every day that is going to get a period at the middle school, where is that going to go? So we already have them looking to kind of put that in there, not really knowing what our numbers are going to look like. It's kind of one, we're building the plane while we're flying, but at least we can kind of get it going. I'm excited because there's a couple of people that have applied already, and I think we're going to really get somebody who's gung-ho to make this work for us, which will be great. Talked about what curriculum we will need for the middle school, how we want to work that, working with the middle school people to pick out the best materials and how to approach it. What else is going to be involved? Like, is there going to be some community going out into the community and doing different things out in the community? So really, this person's going to kind of have to help develop it with me, what it's going to look like, and maybe like the OTL people, and just figure out what do we want these kids to do to really make it meaningful. I then would like the teacher to have a presentation right in September, right when we're giving the COGAT, we find out who that core group is, present to those parents to show them the worth of it, because in reality, it may mean, well, you're not going to be able to go to that elective in the middle school, but you're going to be able to do this. And these are the things that this will provide you with. So it's going to take, a little bit of time. I asked for some patience as we continue to build the plane as we're going along. But it's kind of exciting because we started this with nothing, and have been trying to slowly build it. And I'm excited about who we're seeing with the applicants so far. So
What did we list for qualifications?
So I can reshare that with you. It's the gifted guidelines require that it's not just a one test kind of thing. It's a full picture of the student. And so we had included state assessment scores.
I meant the
Means the
teacher.
Oh, so we have we developed I took the job descriptions from several other districts for a tag teacher and put it together based on what we were looking for and shared it with Sue and Kim. And then Kim put it together and posted it.
Yep. So
Right.
special ed certification, I think.
Yes.
We're getting the kind of people we expected.
Yeah.
I think so. I think
We have to
and so we have quality candidates, so I think we're good.
Good luck.
Yeah.
My question, there, one teacher for elementary and
Yeah, so it's going to be, again, we're trying to figure out the best way with the schedule. The thought is probably to have it be, so it'd be a full day teacher, but she or he, who knows, would go to, let's say the middle school in the morning, maybe the afternoon, but it would be whatever it is, first period every day, because that's how it's going to work at the middle school. It can't be twice a week, right? So our thought was every day, whether it's one period or is it a possibility of even doing a double period, like a block schedule? I don't know. So that's really got to come from Shelley, but they're looking at that right now. And then our thought, again, with the 4-5s is not to do it every day, to do it 2 days a week. But how long do we want to do it for? So this way they're not running to 3 schools in a day. So they would go to the middle school. And the other part that I think is exciting is they would have time in their day to be able to go, hopefully, into classrooms and model for teachers how to differentiate for that other extreme. Like, how do you provide exciting things for kids that don't need really that core curriculum that you're working on? So it's kind of hard to answer now, Ellen, because until we get all the pieces in place, but I'm thinking that 2 afternoons a week, Forbes, 2 afternoons a week, Southwest, and then the middle school for 5 days a week. Not exactly sure how long yet. So we're going to have to.
how many kids in the elementary level?
So at the 4-5 level, we have about 10 kids. That's it across the 2 schools. So. it's
And
not
it was,
really large
and it
of
was
us.
one position that the board decided to.
Right.
So we're trying to slice and dice, yeah.
Right, I'm
Yeah.
Trying to think of like how you can. That
Yeah.
person is not.
Well, this is the year when we take a look
Right,
at it.
right,
and if
right.
this is
Yeah.
what
Got
we
it.
Want to, we can add next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's like play. We kind of just have to keep figuring out molding. Let's look, we don't even know what our first set of assessments at the middle school are going to look like. They could be higher than we think, they could be lower. I don't know. So we're just going to have to wait and see how it comes out.
Elementary is all set.
Yeah, well, we already did the kids that were going into 4th and
Right, and
5th
they've been
grade.
notified and.
Correct.
teachers
So those,
know.
they're already, some of them are just continuing their services. The new 3rd graders have been identified coming up to 4th. So those are continuing. So we just didn't know that it was definitely going to be continuing at the middle school, so.
Have we looked at the what I need now period, the waiting period? That
Yeah.
sounds like a good, because they probably don't, that particular group of kids doesn't
Right,
use the waiting period as our student body typically uses the waiting period.
exactly. I think it's just a matter of what are they giving up? Because sometimes like, I'm not really sure, Ronnie, like,
Yeah.
would that be the time that they're doing those extras that they really want to
Band
do?
chorus or orchestra.
Right.
And a
We're calling them
lot of our-
encore this
Yeah.
year.
Right.
Yeah.
So the problem is I have to sell it, right, to these parents because you only have so many minutes in a day. You have to give up something to make it work. And again, I guess we can kind of see how this plays out because you're talking about children that typically do very well, right? So even at the elementary, might we want to look at, well, do they come out of a language arts block? Maybe they could do it like that because their ability level may be way above where it needs to be. I don't know. I'm sorry, I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I really don't know what I'm talking about until we get in there and really get it going and then we'll just mold it as we need to.
But to your point, those are kids for whom a lot of what they do is redundant. And that's where we'll find the time.
Right.
Years ago, it was done. You came out of the subject matter that you were getting talented and gifted.
Right.
Supported. Many years ago.
And that's kind of how special ed works too.
I was in schools on the road that went away.
Yeah.
I was at a.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you. Be looking forward to hearing continuing.
Well, keep you posted.
progress on this. Alliance update. Given that, what's going on? in Alliance?
You want me to give that or do you want to give that?
Your committee.
Well, Michael and I were both at the most
We
recent
were.
meeting, so maybe
Good
we can tag team this, right? We both met at the end of June 28th to be exact. We met with Greg Drusko and Iris White, who are our two Alliance liaisons from the state, who are always very lovely and very complimentary of the good work that's being done here. We went over data, we talked about some of the family engagement efforts that are in place. Just all the exciting things that are happening. And we talked about, obviously, Michael's arrival and how exciting that is. Greg has already sent us his meeting schedule for the entire year, right through next July. So we are on deck to meet with him again, I believe, in November for our next update. So, yeah, did I miss anything?
Well, I think, played yourself a little short there because I was invited to that meeting prior to me officially taking over and was glad to be invited. But the kudos and the accolades that the Alliance folks really shared about the work that Sue did, well as my predecessor, in the areas and listening to the recommendations from the team, from both Iris and Greg and putting it into action was really a highlight for them. And me coming from way back when a former Alliance, some of those meetings aren't always as happy and positive. So I think the positive for me that day was to see that all of the efforts are moving in the right direction. And they're really excited about some of the literacy direction that we're going in and really excited in some of the prelim growth scores that were shown. Nothing's official yet, but they were very excited. So I think kudos to the hard work of, obviously Sue, but all the staff, the teachers, administrators, and obviously the students who are buying in. So that's important to note because that's a lot of work and that's a big body, as we all know, as this board is aware. The Alliance is all encompassing, but for them to signal us out in those areas is a kudos, and I think the board should be very proud of that.
Thank you. Questions about the Alliance update? No questions. Good. Future meetings. We will have our middle school report next time, right? The middle school report from last year that we should have had in May. We got switched with April or whatever. Remember?
Yes. So, yes, we We can do that. Michael has been talking with the administrators and meeting with the administrators about their school improvement plans, so. We can do that, but the administrators are taking a look at this process from a different angle now under his direction, so I don't know if that would be confusing or,
We'll talk about that soon.
okay,
And committee members, if you have any thoughts, we can talk about this later. We have a month before we have to set the next.
right,
agenda.
because I think you had said you would want them to bring those reports forward in the fall anyway, right?
Yeah, usually
So-
it's in around October. So it could be September, but that's a little hectic to whatever.
We were doing a building report every month. From
Oh, this is a little
October,
different than that.
November
Okay.
on, yeah. And we had a couple of very comprehensive.
Yeah.
enlightenment.
Yes.
But, okay, we'll think about that. Other topics for future meetings, the list is here. Pathways update, I think we're maybe due for we have some new programs in the high school and we've approved some that were and others that weren't going to be running or whatever. I'm just interested in, I think hearing which of those courses that we've approved are actually up and running.
Okay.
So anyone else want to put any of these to the top?
You mean running it, we're offering or running the hidden enrollment to do it? Because it could actually be, we could offer it, but not have.
Approved, right, as the combination of which ones are actually being taught, which of the programs that we approved throughout the year last year are actually being taught to how many kids?
If I may, I love that number. That's good to note, though, it was offered and there wasn't. Doesn't mean we abandoned it, but I think that's important, just as a comparative. So I agree, that's a good lens to look through.
Yes, and I can certainly bring that forward. Some of those were not intended to be run until the following.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right. They weren't all supposed to be. We
Correct.
approved some of them very late,
yep,
but others were approved in time.
Yep.
Have them as new courses.
Yep.
Which is a following.
okay.
Comments for the good of the order, Jeff.
Happy summer to everybody. Nice to see you all again. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Great information, for presentation. And I like the other angle of the reports from the schools. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good meeting, welcome. Your first committee meeting.
It was the first I heard about the DCF partnership. It's intriguing. I look forward to seeing where that goes.
And enjoy the rest of your summer.
Yeah,
Welcome
I
back,
look
everyone.
forward to waiting for the next meeting.
Nice to see everyone. No, welcome back. Good meeting.
And before I hit the other side of the table, Josh, anything you want? Joanne?
Intrigued by the DCF and excited by the potential for that kind of partnership.
Sandy?
I'm excited about the DCF partnership and the possibility of doing that here. We've been talking about it a lot at the state level with CEA, and I know some of the work DCF has done with other districts, and it's been phenomenal. So I think it's a real positive for us.
Okay, yeah, DCF seems to be in a better place now than they have
Great
been
information.
in the past. Marissa, you watch everything. What's going on? You're the madam. Ronnie?
So I know school improvement is the committee to be at. Best meetings, right? So
And this was small attendance compared to some of our meetings. Right? So,
Yeah, no, great meeting. Thank you. Welcome to Michael. Happy summer to everyone. Thank you.
I just want to thank everyone. It's really been a great transition. I'm so excited to be here, excited to my first meeting under my belt, so to speak, before we adjourn. But thank you to everybody. It's been great.
my comments is thank everyone for coming. Oh, yes, the Cyberland people. Fiona, you're the only one out there. What do you want to say?
Great meeting, everybody.
Thank you, Ron. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
We have 10 minutes before the next meeting.
It's very unusual.